So most of my expertise that I'm going to be drawing on comes from my experience as what we would now call a gender diverse child. And, I was raised by parents who not only didn't know that about me, but even if they had, they would have responded in the horrible ways that were considered good parenting. It would institutionalize me or, tried to cure
Mm.
me or possibly beat it out of me or pick me out on the street, something that is still happening at terrible rates. The proportion of trans and non-binary homeless kids is wildly out of whack in terms of the tiny minority that we are. And I'll also be drawing on my experience uh, talking to parents. When I started talking, I've done hundreds of talks about trans issues, and often the questions that I'm asked are by parents who are concerned about, just sometimes grandparents who have children or grandchildren who are coming out and they're confused by this. And they want to be supportive. And I've also done uh, trainings and talks to psychotherapists, who most of whom receive no training at all about this. I was shocked. It's not just gender diversity. Apparently, the American Psychological Association recommends that everybody have a semester of some kind of diversity training to become a therapist, but they don't require it, which is just scary. So there are a whole lot of people who want to do right, but who have very few tools and a lot of confusing messages to do it. And the situation in which we want to most do right about gender, I think, is with our children. That's even what's fueling the horrible laws that are targeting trans kids and driving them to suicide in some places. It's parents are of non-trans kids who are afraid that trans kids are in some way hurt them, or that being affirming of trans kids' identity is actually making them worse, right?
Mm.
It's like, as my ex said to me, if you tell me you're a chicken, are you saying that I should start treating you as a chicken? Right? So if you start from the premise that and a sense of yourself as something other than male or female is delusional or depraved in some kind of way, then yeah, parents should not encourage it. Therapists shouldn't encourage it. Doctors shouldn't encourage it. So there's a lot of fears that we have about this. And it's hard to use the discourse of trans advocates to figure out what to do for our children, because trans advocates are operating from a defensive posture, right? They're speaking as adults to a culture that is trying to erase and marginalize trans people. So when we come from a place of fear and defensiveness, and Jews are the same way. When we're talking to anti-Semites, we don't talk about the wonderful diversity of ways of being Jewish, and you can even be both Jewish and non-Jewish. And we have, no, you don't. You're like, this is what it means to be a Jew, and right? It's the same thing with trans people who are out there defending trans people. So I'm going to be trying to draw on those things and talk about and create a space where other people can talk about the questions and anxieties that they have about this, um, and help people access the strengths that are central to parenting, all kinds of parenting, no matter who our kids are. We need to love them unconditionally. Sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's hard because our kids are behaving in ways that upset us. Sometimes it's hard because we're angry. Sometimes it's hard because we're scared. I've been all of those things. In fact, when my kid came out to me as trans a few years ago, I discovered that I had all of the same reactions. You'll grow out of it. How do you know? How do you, is, peer pressure, all of the everything. And my kid was, let me know in no uncertain terms that they did not want to hear my crap. I could have whatever feelings I had, but they expected me to be really, really supportive and deal with my stuff on my own. And in general, that's what we need to do as parents. We have reactions that we have as human beings. Nothing makes us as reactive as our kids. But good parenting always requires us to find ways to step back from our reactions, to watch them, to notice them, and to take responsibility for the stuff that's ours so that we can approach our kids with love and compassion and curiosity. Being a good parent also means creating safe spaces for kids to unfold themselves. We don't expect kids to be exactly the same. Like, I don't know a single parent who would say, for example, to a girl entering her Disney princess phase, I'm only going to get you that costume if you swear to me that when you grow up, you will be a Disney princess. If you're not sure you're going to be a Disney princess when you grow up, I think it is terribly destructive for me to let you dress as one right now. We don't do that, right? We know that kids become themselves by going through a whole bunch of different phases. And the truth is that gender identification for many kids, nobody questioned whether I was a boy. If I said I'm a boy, nobody said, well, how do you know? Right? And so we take for granted that a 2-year-old can know that they're male or female if that's the sex of their bodies, but we don't take for granted that they can know other things. So remembering this sort of common sense stuff, it doesn't give us all the answers, but it can remind us that we have the tools to be the kind of parents that our individual kids has to be.